I don't know how this is going to work. And what am I talking about? Where were the ETFs going to get their XRP from? Right, a lot of people have been asking me lately, Zach, what about your multiplier? You said 100x, 500x multiplier on these ETFs. Yes, I did. But I also added a caveat and I said I didn't know, because we just didn't know whether or not the XRP was going to be purchased OTC or whether they were going to have to go to the secondary exchanges. So far, it's been all OTC. And Ripple's actually seeded some of that funding as well too. That does not drive supply shock to XRP, right? So why is XRP not gone crazy off the ETF inflows? That's why. Now, I knew that it could be a possibility, but I wasn't going to say with 100% certainty that these will absolutely lead to a pump or that they're not going to lead to any price action at all because it's going to be all OTC. And if you've been paying attention, I shared that all of the inflows into Bitcoin ETFs were OTC, yet Bitcoin still pumped 220% from the day the ETFs went live to the October 2025 high this year. 220% price action to the upside despite all of the Bitcoin for the ETFs being purchased OTC. It's because somebody's purchasing Bitcoin somewhere. And even though there was 24 billion of outflows on centralized exchanges, it still pushed Bitcoin up. Same thing's going to happen for XRP, right? They're draining the OTC. They're draining the dark pools right now. And then the big caveat that I said, we got to see if they're picking it up OTC. And then we have to watch what Ripple does with the spigot. Right? That's the best example. Is Ripple going to turn that spigot on and let it flow out a little bit more as far as getting that escrow and then selling it off to the ETF issuers? Or are they going to close that off? That's a variable I didn't know. And so far, about a month into the ETFs, it's been all OTC, and Ripple has seeded. They seeded about 100 million XRP into the 21 shares ETF. That does not drive supply shock. Not today, not this month. Now down the road, are ETFs going to have an impact? 1,000%, because they're locking up XRP. Are the AMM liquidity pools going to have an impact on supply? Absolutely. Right? As XRP gets put into a liquidity pool between XRP and RLUSD, it can't be used for the liquidity pool between XRP and the Japanese yen. It can't be, as XRP gets put into DeFi, it can't be used for cross-border payments, liquidity pools, ETFs, right? There's only so much XRP to go around. The good news is that we're driving demand and that Ripple is the